Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Africa, let me know where you are connecting from, please. In the chat, just type your name and where you are connecting from. Okay, I have my friend Richard Edu connecting from UK. So, Ifwa, Accra, Richard Edu, London. Obaria Amandi from Nigeria. We have Mushat from Ghana. We have Nege connecting from Nigeria. Jesse Sekwe from Ghana. And His Royal Majesty Ambassador Amandi from Abuja, Nigeria. You're welcome. Zimbabweans are here. And then we have Nesia also from Zimbabwe. We have also Messelinia also from Zimbabwe, Dr. Watin from Ghana. And hey, we are connected globally. We have Phileas from Malawi. And Nancy from also Nigeria, Abraham from Nigeria, Sophia from Accra. Wow. Good morning, and good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the Africa Heritage Program. Today it promises to be a very interesting section. This is the maiden section and edition, and it's exciting to know that, ladies and gentlemen, we are having one of our illustrious son of the soil with us, and we have one of our business mogul also with us, and also our Vanuatu Trade Commission to Ghana also with us, and we're going to interact with them, and it's going to be an exciting time. So just keep connected, and then let's hear where you are connecting from. Rex from Ghana, Bako from Abuja, John from UK, England, UK, and the Innocent from Nigeria. We quite have a number of Nigerians here, and I understand why it is so, because there's good news coming from Nigeria, isn't it? So call a friend to call a friend, share the link, and then the next 3 to 5 minutes, let's begin the show.
What can we do? We must deal with the basic things.
For centuries, Africa has journeyed through trials and triumphs, but the dream of true economic emancipation remains unfulfilled. Today, that dream is becoming a reality, driven by the power of AKL Lumi. AKL Lumi, a digital currency backed by gold and solar energy, is uniting Africa with the global diaspora. It is more than just a currency. It's a force propelling Africa.
Doc, we are not able to have the sound. Doc, if you can hear me, your sound is not coming.
A groundbreaking initiative powered by AKL Lumi, a $9 billion investment in the construction of 6 luxurious cruise ships, 4 built in Nigeria, 2 built in the Caribbean. The Ipada Carnival, Sail, will bring Africa and its diaspora together like never before, with AKL Lumi as the driving force. Join the chairman of Ecosystem and president of the African Diaspora Central Bank, His Royal Majesty Semako, Dr. Otunba Wanle, founder of Ipada Carnival, and Professor Hugh, Aryee, ambassador of Vanuatu Trade Commission Ghana, as they reveal how AKL Lumi will finally unlock Africa's economic potential with your host, Dr. King Boison. AKL Lumi is more than just currency. It is Africa's key to economic emancipation. A stable, gold-backed currency uniting trade, tourism, and culture across Africa and the diaspora. The African Heritage Show, a celebration of Africa's rebirth. Witness the power of AKL Lumi and the Ipada Carnival, reshaping Africa. Premiering 25th October 2024 from 1 to 2:30 p.m.
Joining this show. I believe I'm audible. You can hear me. And once again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are connecting from. We are connected to, if I'm not mistaken, for the number of countries I've seen, over 30 to 40 countries. My name is Dr. King Boison, and it is an honor to welcome you to the maiden edition of the African Heritage Show, where we celebrate the legacy, resilience, and future of our beloved continent, Africa. Tonight, tomorrow, today, and this afternoon, the theme for our discussion is going to be centered around the Ipada, Carnival. It is dubbed Ipada, from slave ships to cruise ships. This speaks to a journey of the transformation. A 9 billion investment led by the African Diaspora Central Bank and powered by AKL Lumi digital currency. This monumental step not only honors our past, but also lays the foundation for Africa's true emancipation. And the African Heritage Shows represent a space to reclaim our heritage, explore the vibrant culture, and address the challenges and opportunities shaping our future. We will be discussing the Ipada Carnival, an initiative ongoing, bringing Africa and the diaspora together, and a massive investment in 6 luxurious cruise ships. And I believe most of us are here and want to hear what this is all about. We are witnessing the dawn of a new era in African tourism, trade, and cultural exchange. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, you are welcome. So I want to introduce to you our guests who will be speaking to the issues. We have the President of the African Diaspora Central Bank, and as well as the Chairman of is with us, in the person of Rex Semako McPherson. He is with us, and we have Dr. Otunba also with us, who is the CEO of the Campagne Beach Resort, as well as the founder of the Ipada Carnival project. And we also have amongst us, His Excellency, the Vanuatu Trade Commissioner to Ghana, in the person of Professor Ambassador Hugh, Keku, Aryee, also with us. These 3 gentlemen are going to form the panel for this discussion. And let me first of all introduce our President of the African Diaspora Central Bank and the Chairman of ECOSYS. Your Royal Majesty, can you say hello if you are with us?
A most glorious good morning to you, one and all. It is indeed a pleasure to be here and to welcome you all this morning to this not only very important, but economically, culturally, and spiritually transformative conversation. Akwaba, welcome, and I look forward to this dynamic exchange. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you, Your Royal Majesty. I believe that he was audible enough. Thank you so much. So we have also, let me introduce His Excellency, Professor Ambassador Prof. Hugh Keku Aryee. Prof, if you are with us, let's hear your voice. Prof, your mic is muted. Can you unmute yourself, please? All right, before Prof comes in, we have also Dr. Otunba. I think I pronounced it wrongly the first time. Doc, sorry for that. Dr. Otunba, who is the CEO of the La Campagne Tropicana Beach Resort and the founder of the Ipada Carnival. Doc, are you on the call, please? Doc, if you're on the call, you can unmute yourself now.
Thank you. Thank you. Finally.
All right.
You have to unmute us. Let me, first of all, you've done very well, but let me quickly just correct. My name is Otunba Wanle Akinboboye. And the resort is La Campagne Tropicana Forest River and Beach Resort in Lagos, Nigeria. And what we are here to talk about today is the renaissance and correct practical application towards the exodus and the return of people of African descent in a concise, precise manner, in a manner that we believe will add tremendous value not only to this generation, generations yet unborn. The concept is Ipada initiatives, which is the return to the continent of Africa on a daily basis. First of all, beginning with the conscious return.
Okay, Doc, thanks so much. Thanks so much for making time to join us. And I'm excited to have the three very powerful persons around to speak to the issue. But Doc, let me begin with you. You are the founder and the one who is the vision bearer of this Ipada Carnival. What is Ipada Carnival? What is it?
Ipada, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Basically, is a Yoruba word that means the return of people of African descent and also lovers of Africa back to the continent. The Ipada initiative is a concerted effort to put the entire 55 African countries in one basket, basically presenting the 30.2 million square kilometers of area called the continent of Africa in one basket. And of course, there are 44 million people in the Caribbean. Approximately 31 million of them are from the continent of Africa. We have 56 million plus million people in the United States of America with a $1.7 trillion economy. You have 120 million plus in Brazil. You have about 380 million in the Americas. The entire Europe has approximately 9.6 million. And then you have additional, maybe 500 million lovers of Africa to 1 billion, spread all over the world. Ipada It's a concerted effort to make sure that the continent of Africa claim not only the 55 children he has in the continent, also those in diaspora, to make sure it brings us together, because basically we've been clapping with one hand. Ipada is a concerted effort for us to clap with two hands. The clapping with one hand has not produced any sound because it is just hitting the air. But if there's a second hand to connect it, and as most of us that, especially those in diaspora, reside on two legs or stand on two legs, chose to use one leg. The concept of Ipada is to make sure they stand on their second leg, which is the ability to connect with any part of Africa they want to connect with. North Africa, South, East, West, Central. We're bringing the entire continent of Africa on a portal, on a plate, in a basket. We're not asking them to come to Nigeria or to come only to South Africa or to Ghana. We're asking John Doe from Denver, Colorado, to come to the continent of Africa, and we are creating a platform for them to come to the continent. So what we have is Ipada initiative first, and the idea of Ipada initiative is that daily return to different events, different festivals, and different business opportunities in different parts of Africa from January to December. And then come November 29th, the last weekend of November to the first weekend of December, we expect to celebrate that return. And that is what we refer to as Ipada Carnival. It's a celebration of our return. And later on, I'll be telling you all the things that will, the goodies that will happen during the Ipada Carnival. The Ipada initiative, as the president of Nigeria, as the grand patron, also the chief host, and the global brand ambassador. And I think recently in Abuja, to the presidential villa, we hosted the 109 ambassadors in Nigeria to the importance of Ipada, for us to come together as one and present that opportunity to the world to connect with the continent. And that was barely 2 weeks ago. So Ipada is in two forms. The first is the initiative itself, which is the daily return. We've had thousands of people since inception that have been returning on a daily basis to different parts of Africa. And come November, December, we're going to celebrate that return in a magnificent manner, where we show the best of the continent in a highly, highly cosmopolitan manner. I thank you.
Huge. And before I switch to His Royal Majesty, there's one very important point you made, that Ipada is a platform. And what it means is that we are not just looking at Nigeria. It has far-reaching objectives of connecting all those in the diaspora, as you, just give us the statistics, to connect back to their motherland. And I think this is a very huge, project. And for being the vision bearer of this, I think we should congratulate you for being part of that renaissance. And congratulations, Doc. And let me move to His Royal Majesty. His Royal Majesty, let me just give you a background of His Royal Majesty. You may have to go online and see anytime he speaks or you see his apparel. And he's deeply rooted in in our African belief system and our culture. And I just want to ask this opening question. As the chairman of ECOSYS and president of the African Diaspora Central Bank, Your Royal Majesty, could you share with us the mission of ECOSYS and the significance of this Ipada Carnival, and also as well as the investment of the $9 billion equivalent in AKL Lumi in that project? Could you please share this with us?
Thank you ever so kindly, moderator, for your question. And once again, greetings to everyone, one and all. As it relates to the mandates of ECO6 as a regional economic community, effectively, the target of ECO6 is to integrate the diaspora as a regional bloc, as a regional community with the rest of the regional economic communities across the continent of Africa, where you have 5 regional economic communities. And so consequently, the diaspora or ECO6 comes forth as that 6th regional bloc for the diaspora to be able to engage in economically with the continental communities and the member states of those communities and the citizens of those member states in a new era of economic cooperation and development as called for within the African Continental Free Trade Area on the one hand, but now, and more importantly, as required under the framework and the paradigm of the Ipada Initiative. We see the Ipada Initiative as not only representing a gateway to the continent through Nigeria, utilizing Nigeria in terms of Abuja and Lagos as a portal or gateway of entry, but we see the Ipada Initiative as being a gateway to a new era, a new time of economic prosperity, growth, and a paradigm shift in how we think about the way the continent interacts with the diaspora. Pertaining to AKL Lumi and the African Diaspora Central Bank, obviously, as a regional economic community, we understand that the region must have its own monetary resources to make investments as a region. And consequently, the African Kingdom's Lumi functions as the legal tender and the official currency of the 6th region for purposes of trade, investment, and development, both within the diaspora region as well as the regions across the continent. And so we get beyond national discussions, we get beyond tribal discussions, and we get into a continental discussion, or more appropriately, an African discussion of economy that involves Africans both on the continent and throughout the diaspora 6th region. As it relates to our investment within the 6 cruise ships, to be clear, the investment is facilitated under the brand and slogan from slave ships to cruise ships. And what it speaks to is the fact that when our constituency came to the 6th region, we came in shackles, we came in chains, we came in slave ships. And we all know this history, we all know this legacy very well. But as we return to the motherland, as we return to our fatherland, we will not return in slave ships, but rather in cruise ships. And the cruise ships speak towards a new era again of economic prosperity, of luxury, of building the type of Africa that we desire to live in, both culturally, socially, and in terms of the overflowing amenities that speak to the economy. We understand that tourism impacts and touches every segment of the economy. And so consequently, by talking about tourism, we talk about the macro economy. And as we invest as a first mover in cruise ships, we talk about mobilizing 1.5 million tons of steel. So again, on the one hand, the cruise ship speaks to a means of transportation. But as we mobilize 1.5 million tons of steel, as we get the African steel sector not only liquidated with our currency and invested in, but creating employment, skill-based opportunities, and we begin the manufacturing of cruise ships. We begin to invest also in airlines, as we've already done with Malaika Air. And not only do we invest in airlines from the perspective of leasing, but also going forward, we look to the perspective of manufacturing airlines on the continent of Africa so that we harness the best of our engineers, the best of our minds, and the best of our industry know-how to create large-scale employment opportunities that impacts cruise ships, air transport, and eventually looking at the automotive sector as well, as we understand that the automotive industry is also segueing away from fossil fuel into other forms of fuel combustion. So saying all of that to say that the investment in the cruise sector and the manufacturing of 6 luxurious cruise ships at a total investment value of $9 billion parity, we speak of a renaissance of industrialization and achieving what we've always envisaged in the past: goods, services, or products that are made by Africans for Africans. We get this run start through the cruise ships, where we'll begin to take from the expertise that we have in the diaspora, within the Caribbean, where we have multiple cruise ship repair yards, and we bring that knowledge and that expertise to the continent, employing people in a manufacturing process that will impact all segments of the economy from an industrialization perspective. As bank, we speak to business, we speak to commerce, we speak to vision of industry, and we speak to a new era of prosperity and ingenuity, both on the continent and throughout the 6th region as the global African family works together. Blessings, and thank you for the question.
Wow. Did you say, so Your Majesty, did you say 1.5 million steel? This is huge. 1.5 million. I'm going to come back to you in respect to ECOSYS agenda in ensuring the stability and the rejuvenating of the African economy. I'll come back to that. But I would want to move to Ambassador Professor Hugh Aryee. Ambassador, if you can hear me, as a representative of Vanuatu Trade Commission in Ghana and a partner to ECOSYS, could you highlight the role of Vanuatu Trade Commission in promoting trade between Africa and other regions, and also let us know how Lumi plays into this mission? If you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you, Doctor.
Prof?
Yeah, Doc, I can hear you.
Take it over.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone that's represented here today. I am deeply honored to be a part of this engagement this afternoon.
And I'm excited.
But before I proceed,
I know
we
have a lot
of prominent people that have invited to join this event.
event. And I would like to single out one particular person. And all of you out there, professors and doctors, are invited from all over the world that are here. Please, I acknowledge all of you, but I want to single out one person. Doc, is the echoing coming from my end?
No, it's coming from your end, Prof. Prof, I think it's coming from L9's device.
That's why everything is muted here.
Okay.
It's better now, right? Yeah, so if you can you hear me? Can you hear me, Doc? Doc, can you hear me very well?
Yeah, I can hear you. Proceed, please.
Okay, so I'd like to extend my greetings to one astute professor who was very instrumental on my first visit to the Republic of Liberia during the inauguration of their president. In fact, this astute professor who works at the University of Liberia actually was the one who gave me red carpet treatment at the airport. In fact, she was very, very instrumental in my visit to the inauguration of the president. And she took absolute good care of me. She took me to her house, to her her work, to the university. And she gave me the opportunity to have first-hand information about Liberia. It gave me all the history about all the presidents of Liberia, the war, and everything. And this woman is an amazing woman. I'd like to single her out for that phenomenal treatment she gave me. First time I've been to Liberia. And so I'd like to welcome Professor Aryee Koblabole. She's joined us this afternoon. Prof, you can hear me. I want to say thank you so much. I'm so grateful internally for that spectacular display of love, passion that you gave me when I visited Liberia. And I said, I am truly honored. I look forward to seeing you once again in Liberia very, very soon, Prof, if you are here and you can hear me. Thank you so much for joining this afternoon's engagement, and God bless you. So, Doc, let me proceed. The Vanuatu Trade Commission primary role in Ghana is to act as a bridge to facilitate and strengthen trade relations between the Republic of Vanuatu, Ghana, and Africa. And so this involves identifying opportunities for Vanuatu's export product into the African market, promoting Vanuatu as an investment, a destination, and supporting the African businesses interested in doing or trading in Vanuatu. Not only that, also promoting Vanuatu, because you agree with me, recently Vanuatu won as the best place on earth, the most happiest place on earth, the 4th consecutive time. So that places Vanuatu on top of each peers in the industry. So this mission ultimately contributes to have an increased trade in volumes, economic diversification, sustainable development for Vanuatu and African nations. In a GP, the Trade Commission facilitated the integration of the Lumi currency into the African economy by promoting its unique offerings to align with our trade practices, investment needs for Africans and the African market. And so briefly, this is what the Vanuatu Trade Commission aims to achieve. And over the past 1 year, we have made several inroads by visiting almost or having reps in all the 53 African countries to promote trade, to work on our Vakonga concept, which is the Vanuatu, Congo, and Ghana initiative, an event that we had last year in Ghana, and which is moving to Congo DR From there, to move to Vanuatu, and we have what we call the Vakonga Plus, which is other countries that are joining this Vakonga concept. So in a jiffy, that is what the Vanuatu Trade Commission does. Over to you. Thank you, Dr. Boison.
Okay. Thank you so much. And before we proceed, I just want to show you something on the screen. I think there's a lot of excitement coming from Ghana and Nigeria and maybe all Africans who hold the AKL Lumi. And I just want to show you where this excitement is coming from. And so I just want you to watch on the screen some of the publication. In fact, I took a cluster of what I could lay my hand on. So you see the Ipada initiative being published in most of the media. There was a group called Aryee group from, I think it represents about 6 countries, one in Canada, in US and UK. They carried the story from Business and Financial Times, and it was published. We have Vanguard from Nigeria, also publishing. Same in Ghana, we have the Business and Financial Times, and we also have My Joy Online. And as you can see the caption, ADCB sponsors construction of 6 luxurious ships, cruise ships in AKL Lumi for Nigeria Ipada project. And then there were other publications still for My Joy Online and other media out there. The Independence from Nigeria also gave out something. Another publication from Heritage also, I think, from Nigeria. And this is what sparked the excitement, and the entire Africa is on fire because this inroads that we have made. And I want to come to Doc. So Doc, with this investment in the cruise to build 6 cruise ships for the Ipada project, I believe, like you said, I'm going to ask a question but you had indicated something earlier that it's not just for Nigeria. But I'm going to give you 2 questions in one. One is that what does this investment mean to the Nigeria economy, and which other African country are we ready to move this concept to? So Doc, if you are there, you can unmute yourself and address this question.
Thank you. Thank you. This investment really is not for Nigeria only. It's for the entire continent of Africa. Because you see, first of all, let's talk about the creation of this platform, the Ipada initiative, and the importance of it. It is when you create a platform that people will have something to stand on. There are so many Pan-Africanists all over the world that cannot find a platform because the continent of Africa is not creating a platform. We are too focused on self. The mindset of meism, just myself, I, and I, is what have really not helped the continent. The entire Europe in 2023, collectively, through what you can refer to as strategic alliances, got about 707 million visitors And the whole of Europe is sitting only on 10.1 million square kilometers of area. Whilst the continent of Africa is on 30.2 plus million square kilometers of area with 1.5 billion people in the continent. So if you look at the entire population of Africans put together, both in the continent and diaspora, you'll be talking of almost 3 billion primary, secondary, extended target market audience. And we got only 61, 62 approximately million in 2023. The country of Saudi Arabia in 2020 decided on the move to create 100 million visitors to Saudi Arabia in 2030. By 2023, they sponsored sports. They brought Ronaldo, football, Mike Tyson, you know, all kinds of activities. In 2023, 3 years after, they've gotten over 100 million. No, I guess now they are targeting 250 plus million people by 2030. France, as a country, in 2023, got a total of 100 and maybe 1 million visitors. I believe that this year they will probably get about 150 million plus because of the Olympics. So when you see those strategic alliances and collective efforts and concerted plans, because you see, it took a concerted effort to separate us, and it will require a concerted effort on our part to bring ourselves together. And the best way to do it is a collective call. When you harvest all the natural resources, tourism products, in the 30.2 million square kilometers of area in the continent of Africa, I believe very strongly that all the continents put together cannot compete with us. So think about us just facilitating 100 million people, or let's put it at about 50 million people to Ghana in 2025. You know what that would do to the economy of Ghana? In 2019, for the year of return, Ghana generated 3.3 billion US dollars. And you can imagine 50 million people now are facilitated when we're doing a joint opportunities like this. So you can then understand that building these cruise ships is just the beginning of the process. And of course, the sixth region and different organizations within the sixth region, once they find a footing to any part of Africa, we're using Nigeria today. The sixth region picked Nigeria today because of the new deep sea port, the second deepest in Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria. If we had not had the deep sea port, if we had not provided that platform, they probably would have gone to South Africa that have the deepest. All right, we have to take advantage of our advantage and advantages that we might have collectively in the continent of Africa. So I really believe that any return in terms of commerce, we are tired crying because you see, no one is going to patronize your cries. Nobody is going to patronize your anger, your 400 years of abuse, rant. Nobody is going to pay money for that, but they're going to pay for your waterfalls, for your fountains, for your creative, for your gorillas. They will pay for your forests. They will pay for what you can create for them that is non-existing in the world. And that is what I think we need to focus on. I believe very strongly. As soon as we get this cruise ship, engineers will not only come from Nigeria, the sixth region had indicated that yes, they're going to build 2 in Barbados, where there is the largest infrastructure for cruise ships building, and then bring different Africans. We talk Africans now. We don't talk Nigeria. There was no Nigeria, Ghana, Togo. They were just kingdoms of Africa. And where we're out there in the world, all people see are Africans. So why are we wasting our time not realizing that we're united people of African descent? And that's what our focus should be on. So I believe very strongly that when we move people from here to Barbados, from different parts of Africa, Southeast, West, Central, we're taking the best of engineers from different parts of Africa and to Barbados. After building the 2, then the 4 others will be built in Nigeria. And of course, Ghanaian engineers will be welcome. We're picking the best of the best of the best of African brains. We're not interested in nepotism, tribalism, sectionalism. Our focus is put forward our best men. When our best men do well, we will all do well. Thank you.
Wow. Doc, just let me hold on. But I was also going to ask, so when are we to expect the real, the starting of this whole project based on your project's schedule? What are we to expect from the coming months after this announcement?
I believe very strongly that His Royal Majesty will be in the best position to help us with that. It has already started. Right. He had come to Nigeria. He has visited Abuja. We are doing the preliminaries now. He came personally, spent a week here to look at possibilities. We'll be sending a team to Barbados to start doing the preliminary operations that is needed. He has engaged a lot of institutions, financial institutions in Nigeria, in area of who to work with, who not to work with. A massive project like this requires tremendous amount of, we need to get it right. So we're going to take our time to do our groundwork properly, bring in place the right people, right institutions, and then we need to talk to the right dockyards, those that we will upgrade, those who will take over. So these are all the process that it's already started. And this started about almost a month ago. And they have already released funding towards that preparatory move in terms of all that to be done. So I think I've answered that. I don't really think you need to bother His Royal Majesty.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc. Thank you so much, Doc. I'll come back to you for your last round where we'll be discussing about your results, and I'm told that is the most teamed resorts in Africa. We're going to talk briefly about that. Your Royal Majesty, $9 billion equivalent in Lumi into the Nigeria economy, especially in the
African
sector
economy.
of tourism.
What
next?
Breaking.
What next?
I like us to be using the African economy.
I like that. The African economy. All right. I like that.
No, thank you.
And I love the fact that...
And also thank you kindly for the correction, Dr. Otunba. I think in the spirit of the Ipada initiative and for the aspirations that the collective African family has going forward, it is essential that we use phrases such as the African economy. And I don't want to digress too much on the point, but what I will make abundantly clear is that when our ancestors were taken to what was then called the New World, and in the case of my family, to Jamaica and our maroon territories, our sovereign maroon territories in Jamaica, at that time, Nigeria did not exist, nor any of the other 55 countries across the continent. Our ancestors came from kingdoms. And so again, in this modern era, let us not be preoccupied with nation and tribe and borders, but rather that lens and perspective. Thank you. The question, moderator, please continue.
I asked that $9 billion equivalent in Lumi into the African economy. So what next? What are we to expect? What are the next steps?
In terms of the next steps, above and beyond the cruise ship manufacturing, what we can expect to see is a consolidation within the tourism sector and the continental commercial economy properly, as the best minds in business, industry, and commerce begin to think about how to consolidate the needs of the continent so that we are no longer looking at how to make provisions for 10, 20, and 30 people, but rather how to make provisions for 1.5 billion people. In terms of the African Diaspora Central Bank, we are reaching out to all players within the African commercial space, all businesses, both of a micro cap size, a small, medium, and large cap enterprise denomination, for engaging in trade and commerce across the entire continent, as is the spirit of the African Continental Free Trade Area, but more importantly, as is the spirit and the very soul of the diaspora as we engage our brothers and sisters on the continent. So the focal point is looking at low-hanging fruit in terms of hotels from the lens of the Campagne Tropicana, building tourism infrastructure. We recognize that we cannot talk about tourism from the lens of the diaspora, appreciating that the diaspora has, especially the diaspora comes to the continent with certain expectations. We come to the continent as tourists wanting to see something, for example, like available water infrastructure. And so that means being committed to investing in and putting in the proper infrastructure for water and sanitation. As tourists, we come to the continent as visitors that want to have a stable flow of electricity and energy so that while we are visiting the continent, we can also do the work responsibilities that we have at home. And so that means investments within energy infrastructure across the continent. And so I reiterate the statement that the tourism sector and segment covers the entire scope of the economy. And so for the African Diaspora Central Bank, we are looking at the entire economy through the eyes of tourists and saying, when the diaspora comes to the continent, what are the things in terms of infrastructural challenges that need to be repaired so that a tourist in that space can have a prosperous and safe experience, and so that the local people living within the community can also benefit from and enjoy that entire dynamic. And so the African family begins to repair the house. ADCB is open for all discussions with government, with business, and individuals that have strategic ideas. We welcome entrepreneurs, and we welcomed seasoned veterans. This is an era of transformation and prosperity for which we're not trying to put it in a box, but we also recognize that there needs to be a clear orientated structure. And from our perspective, that means engaging both the established players as well as reaching out to those brilliant minds. And I'll leave it there. Thank you so kindly.
Majesty. Just a follow-up question. So in Ghana and some part of Nigeria, businesses have started integrating AKL Lumi into their operations. I had an experience where I used my AKL to buy outboard motors and also other few products. There are hotels that are accepting AKL Lumi. Recently, we had a discussion with real estate businesses that are seriously considering integrating AKL Lumi into their operations. My question to you is that now that there is a lot of, injection of fresh capital through AKL Lumi into the African economy, what are businesses supposed to do now whilst we go through the integration phase?
I apologize. You were somehow frozen on my screen for a moment. I'm not sure if you were finished with the question.
Yes.
I'll give you two lenses to your question. From the perspective of bank and regional monetary authority, our obligation is to ensure the integrity and the strength of our currency as a regional instrument of trade and facilitating a new era of economic prosperity across the continent. Businesses have been facilitating a perverse system in the past where they would convert from one currency to a foreign currency and then back into a localized continental currency. Businesses generally know what to do with money. So it's not the directive of ADCB to tell businesses what to do with money. The opportunity going forward is to let the African family understand that the African Diaspora Central Bank has put forth a robust, stable, regional currency that is able to drive trade between nations, between regions, and amongst the global community, and maintain its strength and integrity as a currency. And so based upon that robust framework, businesses and the executives within those businesses must begin to make pragmatic decisions of where capital is available versus where capital is not available, and how to develop their current business model utilizing the capital that is available to them.
All right. So thank you so much, Your Royal Majesty. I'm going to come back to you for the last round, where I would want to ask the broader strategy in integrating the currency into the central banks of the 54 countries, 53 countries in Africa. I'm going to come back to you on that.
Thank you.
Prof, I have this question for you. You have been at the forefront, you're a trading partner to the ecosystem, and you have been engaging countries relative to the integration of Lumi into their economies. What has been your experience so far? And tell us what is happening on grounds now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. Ever since we came to this space, I believe we have done tremendously well. Trying to put on my video. I believe we have done tremendously well. We have some fintechs that have been approved by the African Diaspora Central Bank. One of which is HoneyPay Ghana, which is domiciled in the Republic of Ghana. Now, HoneyPay have come up with various innovative products that they are unleashing to the African market in respect of the AKL Lumi currency. At the moment, they have features which we call the P2P, which is a peer-to-peer model where people who have access to the AKL Lumi are in a position to trade within the peer-to-peer mechanism that HoneyPay provides. And also, they've been able to put together what we call the B2B, which is business to business, which allow businesses to be able to trade in volumes. Mind you, the P2P subscribers have the option of, they have 236 AKL Lumi that they can trade. But for businesses, they can trade from 236 into the millions. So, and we are coming out with various innovative products that are being unleashed into the system as per the approval by ADCB. I think in the coming weeks, we will be seeing so much more to be released into the space and through the directive from ADCB that we actually report to. So I can say that so far so good, and a lot of businesses are welcoming the idea and integrating the AKL Lumi into their business systems. And the past couple of weeks, we have seen tremendous and an improved businesses that have registered onboarded on the HoneyPay system. And we also signed some various agreements with many other organizations from Ghana and across Africa. And we are linking up with other marketplace players as well as fintechs across the African continent to be able to help individual businesses to be able to access the AKL Lumi. I think you also agree with me that we've also championed the AI Africa project that seeks to train 5 million people in Africa into the AI sector. An event that was actually unveiled on the 30th of April at the British Council Hall in Accra. And this has seen the training of various universities in Ghana and across. And in Ghana, we have trained various businesses, various organizations. I could name a few of them like Ghana Free Zones Authority, I think Ghana Digital Center. At the moment, we've trained University of Accra Technical University, Sinyani Technical University, and I think in the next 2 weeks, we're training about 3,000 staff and faculty members as well as students from a whole technical university. We've also signed an agreement with Aryee University in the UK to provide training, and all these people benefit from the use of Lumi. What's so fascinating and important is that through the sponsorship in the AI will benefit one. Came up with several products that will include stability fund for businesses to enjoy loans and many other things. So I think so far we are on course in transforming lives, bringing happiness to the faces of our brothers and sisters who want to do business without having to pay interest on these loans, without having to look for collaterals to be able to access this funding. We are making all of them available, and in the course of before the end of the year, we'll have gotten to about 90% full blown, and to be able to unleash most of this into the African market. Mind you, Vanuatu, which is part that I work with, is also going to be benefiting tremendously as per this AKL Lumi that we are making available into the continental African space. So it has not been an easy journey, but I think that with purpose of mind, determination, commitment, I think we will be able to get there when Africans will begin to see that freedom, financial freedom that has eluded them for several decades. So I think so far, so good. Thank you, Doc.
So much, but hold on. Just want to find out from you, the AI project, when is the other countries like Nigeria, South Africa, all the other countries connected online, Malawi, Burundi, when are we, storming these countries with this training? In order to give it context, it's one of the economic stimulus strategy tools that the ADCB, EcoSys through ADCB, is actually using to empower the continent of Africa. So Ghana has started, but any strategy for the other countries, briefly?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, I think within the past 3 weeks, we have tried as much as possible to get representatives from almost all the 53 African countries. In fact, we intend giving employment opportunity to about 5,400 reps across the 54 African countries. And Ghana has already started with the AI training. We are moving to Nigeria. We are moving to other countries. Liberia is not exception, and I'm excited. Professor Aryee is here, and she's listening to me when I was in Liberia. We discussed this. And so we will want to see Africans embracing this opportunity and taking their destiny into their own hands. I told someone yesterday that you are not expecting me to bring food to your house, and you expect me to cook the food for you. At the same time, you're expecting me to bring the food on your table, and then you expect me to feed you. And even feeding you, you want me to help you to swallow the food. I mean, that is not done, and it cannot be that way. So we want Africans to be able to make inroads, to be able to get to us. The opportunities are available to all African countries. So let them reach out to the Trade Commission as well as Honeypay to take advantage of some of these opportunities. It will be very difficult and ridiculous that we will now be pushing the agenda to you that come and access this when we are making them available. So we want all the African countries to see this as an opportunity, embrace it, and then come with proposals, and we will be able to assist them to benefit from this opportunity. It's a clarion call to all the 54 African nations to be able to come to us if we are not coming to you. There's a saying that if Mahomet will not go to the mountain, then the mountain will have to come to Mahomet. I think that is very cardinal, and anyone that is listening to me, please make it an effort and reach out to us. There are so many opportunities that we are bringing to you, to your house or to your doorstep. Thank you, Doc.
We have also realized, I think if you put your ears on ground, you would realize that there's a lot of people now demanding for the Lumi. With these announcements that came, there is high demand of the Lumi currently. And if you look at the the daily rate that has been coming out. We know the primary rate for ADCB, one Lumi has been pegged $15.96, right? So now the secondary market, we are trading somewhere 22.74. That is the 4 grains of gold. That translates to 0.2592 grams. What has started happening, I think I asked His Royal Majesty the same question, but as a regulator, he can tell us what we should do. But you are a trading partner to EcoSet. What should business expect? What would you advise they do?
Yes, thank you so much. You see, if I were a business, I would start investing in Lumi because Lumi gives me that stability that I want. The primary market rate being 15.96, and the secondary market rate today is about 22.73. Yesterday it was 74 or so, and it dropped 72. So now if you calculate between your primary market rate of 15.96 and the secondary market rate of 22.73, you will realize that if you invest in Lumi, there is stability for you not to lose tomorrow. Here is the thing. If today I invest in Lumi and I use my fiat to buy Lumi at 15.96, if there is a fluctuation in my currency tomorrow and I decide to change my Lumi tomorrow, I am still going to be getting the same 15.96. Whereas if I was having my local currency, I'll have lost value for what I was holding after yesterday. So we have seen that transformative change. Businesses are now, individuals are now investing in the AKL Lumi. They are not necessarily looking to buy or sell. They are rather trying to, having some liquid somewhere, they will want to put it in Lumi so that it doesn't devalue tomorrow. So I am encouraging individuals, businesses, institutions, organizations, financial institutions to invest in the AKL Lumi. Just like the days of old, when no one was telling people that, hey, there is flood coming and nobody paid heed call to him, and the flood came and they were consumed. It is the same as today. And you remember a few years ago when Bitcoin came, nobody paid heed to it. But today, people are benefiting from the soil of their labor. Lumi has been here for the past years, and we are taking it to a different level. I encourage you to invest in Lumi. Let it play a significant part in your business and your daily life, and you won't regret. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you so much. Let me move to Doc. Doc, I've read quite extensively about you, and I think I would request later for a one-on-one interview with all these big personalities so we can delve into deep issues about our African heritage and what we must do, and the platform that you have created to reconnect the African community to the diaspora. You are the CEO of the Campagne Tropicana Beach Resort. What do you actually do there? What is it about? I want to hear from you. I've read extensively about that, but I see that also connected seriously into this renaissance, and I want you to share some highlight on this.
Thank you. La Campagne Tropicana, I think when I came back from the US in 1984, we decided that we have to create our own authentic African-themed resort that we can then replicate throughout the world. For people to connect with you, they need to understand your culture. If you think about it for just a moment, some of the big names like Marriott with almost 4,000 branches throughout the world today, started from somewhere. And if you truly want to sell your culture, you have to reside in it, because when people travel to a particular environment, they travel to experience their culture, their way of life. But what we must do in the continent is we need to present the continent in a more highly cosmopolitan manner. That, for me, is where you find the sixth region who gravitate toward it. We keep presenting and showcasing to the sixth region the backwardness, the African of 400 years ago. The African of today is different. It's cosmopolitan African presentation. We believe very strongly that that best place to create it would be in our own space, and then take it to our brothers in diaspora. As we shout on Africans in diaspora, in 2005, we were in Atlanta, Georgia, at the atrium to launch Motherland Beckons. And we gave a command on that day that you must heed the call. And now, in heeding the call is the creation of Ipada, to create a platform for them, and that to begin the process of transformation of that lemon we refer to as slavery into lemonade by adding a bit of water and sugar and making it sweet, and let even great-great-grandchildren of the oppressors benefit also from the refreshment of that lemonade. So we created an authentic African theme that we are transporting throughout the continent of Africa. Franchise, we are looking at, we have land now in Ghana, in the Ando area, in Ethiopia, but we have created authentic things, from the longest pool in the world with 6 bars and a palm wine bar, mud house, the first, if you Google, the first mud house in the world with an indoor swimming pool. It's La Campagne. We've hosted Miss World. We created tree houses, houses on top of the lagoon, water houses, unique experiences where you sit and experience African food as you listen to music and dance, where we soak you with our entire culture, with the taste of African food, the smell, the aroma, the sight of the dancers, the hearing of impressive drumming and dancing. Believe me, we believe that is what folks have come to experience. We are replicating this in Antigua, in the Caribbean. We have 100 acres there where we're taking Africa. We believe that those that have been brainwashed for many years by CNN and some other news agencies will have an opportunity to experience Africa in the Caribbean. We might even move all the way to Vanuatu. We have 150 acres in Guyana to do the same. And then in Trinidad and Tobago, we have 100 acres. The idea is for a lot of people of African descent, when they do come here, they are shocked that Africa can be this beautiful. Montana, one of the biggest artists in the Caribbean, came to create his music here. He was with us for 2 weeks. And he plans to come on a monthly or annual basis to create his music here with his entire team from Tobago. And so people are looking at reconnecting back home. And it's the responsibility of those of us in the continent to create a platform for them to step on. If we had not created these cruise ships to slave ships to cruise ships, we probably would not have gotten what we have gotten that we are bringing to the continent through the sixth region, through the African Diaspora Central Bank. And there's a lot more that will happen with the sixth region because they're very extensive. So the resort provide opportunity for you to experience 3 different systems from, we have the river experience, we have the ocean experience, and then we have the forest experience. So that is what the resort is about. And of course, it's a franchise. We want to make sure that we're not going to be asking people to come and help Africa because they are Africans. Like Kwame Nkrumah said many years ago, that you are not African only because you are born in Africa. You are African because Africa was born in you. So wherever you are in the world, we believe you are already African. But the mental connection, reconnection, and return to the continent of Africa is what is key. For you to think and understand that, okay, I am African first. That reconnection is key. And that's the essence of this whole idea. And if you then look at us now having access to our own funding, if you look at the Chinese man, when they come to your continent, they bring their money. When you look at the Japanese, they bring their money. Every continent in the world, they move around with their own currency. And my major worry is that the African continent, it's not the only one, it's now the only one that cannot move around with any currency. Until now, we got the Lumi. If you go to New York City with the Naira, they'll probably ask if you're crazy. And if you go there with CD, you probably wonder what is wrong with you. But now we've got the Lumi. And then we're going to spread that throughout the continent. So the resort is also for that movement. And we believe very strongly that as we replicate this resort, like I said, we like to make sure we have business opportunities for Africans in diaspora. We don't want a situation where they come to the continent just to sing and dance. We want to give them opportunities, business opportunities. So we've created so many other opportunities, owning franchise of a resort, holiday homes. We have over 48 kilometers of beachfront where they can build holiday homes, where they can build retirement homes. Africa has stopped asking for handouts. We're now focused on handout. And we believe we have a lot more to give to the world. And we're tapping into that. We're residing in who we are. And I think it's the fact that we have not really reconnected with who we are as a people and using the strength that we have collectively as a continent, we have not been able to reach the right potentials. Thank you, moderator.
Thanks so much. And before you leave, because I don't want to come back, listening to you, and I get a sense of how big this dream is and how well engrossed you are into this dream. I want to ask a very simple question, but very deep one, that what would you be remembered for? Or what do you want to be remembered for?
That's a very powerful question. What do I have almost? Can you give me a month to think about it and give you an answer?
I like that. So I'm going to have a section with you later. I mean, we're going to talk about La Campagne. We're going to do that, and then because this vision is big, and we need to make sure that we spread this news. So I want to thank you, Doc, for your time on this. And let me move to His Royal Majesty.
Very quickly.
Your Royal Majesty.
Dr. Otunba want to say something. Dr. Otunba want to say something.
All right, very quickly. A reason why I requested for that time, on a lighter note, is because of the fact that it's a very long story. I camped in the forest for 6 months in 1984 when I was barely 26 years old to birth the creation of this dream by creating the first authentic themed resort. So it's we're now in the process of acquisition of prototypes that are going to take this to the next level throughout the continent. I knew I was going to definitely be calling people from all over the world back to the continent. But I want, yes, of course, I expect that they will patronize the Hiltons, the Sheratons, but we mustn't be left out of that patronage. When you hear the numbers of 100 million from France, you are hearing numbers of 707 million to Europe. You're wondering why we have not, and most of these countries and regions we're talking about cannot boast of almost up to 1 million people. There are people in diaspora. And then when you look at the numbers that we have in diaspora and the powerful people we have in diaspora, it's a diasporan bank that is kickstarting this with 99 billion US dollars equivalent. So we just have not been consistent to create that platform. So I think it's going to be a story for another day. And I thank you.
Much. Thank you so much. Your Royal Majesty, I want to ask this question and probably you also give your concluding remarks. ECOSYS Stimulus Fund or Economic Stimulus Fund has been one of the tools that you're using to inject fresh capital into Africa. And of course, the first project, not the first project, but one of the monumental projects is this Ipada Carnival project. I want to ask from you as the chairman of ECOSYS, what is the broader strategy in integrating the AKL Lumi into the central banks of Africa? I do recognize the fact that you were expecting the other regions to have their currencies so that at the regional level, ADCB will connect to ECOWAS Central Bank to the east and west, but they don't have their currency. So we have to go through the pain of dealing with central banks individually. But I just want you to speak to us the broader strategy in achieving that moving forward from 2025.
Thank you so kindly for the question, moderator. The statement that you made pertains to regulatory issues, and I don't want to delve too much into the complications, but the fact of the matter is you were quite correct first and foremost by articulating that the other regional economic communities across the continent do not currently have regional currencies, which is to say that for the last 25 years, the Economic Community of West African States has been discussing the creation of a regional currency. And to this day, it has not managed to put forth a regional currency. The South African Development Community has been discussing the creation of a regional currency. And to this day, they have not been able to put forth a regional currency. And of course, in this new era of cooperation between Africans on the continent and Africans in the sixth region, as region, we have put forth a currency, and we understand that the policies and regulations upon the continent, vis-a-vis the 1991 Abuja Treaty on the one hand, or the 2008 Protocol of Relations for the African Union and the regional economic communities on the other hand, have already put the policies in place for regional economic communities to actually trade and transact in regional currencies. And so from a regulatory perspective, or rather from a legal perspective, all of the work has actually been done. And so in recognition that the work has already been done, and I will contextualize this in a different nuance. Dr. Otunba spoke about his dream, which you asked him about, and the outcome of it. And of course, in America, they speak of the American dream, which is from rags to riches. Now, the dream of the diaspora, the sixth region, is to return to our ancestral lands and to utilize our currency to redevelop and transform our ancestral lands in this 21st century. And consequently, because we possess a currency, under the Ipada initiative, we see this as a reset. We're not trying to analyze and understand the difficulties of the past. It has already been analyzed. And I believe that we all fully understand what has transpired in the past. But in this new era of economic cooperation between the continent and the diaspora, we move beyond the past. We look at the frameworks and legalities that are currently available to us. And insofar as ECO6 has put the Lumi currency out there as a regional currency, legally, we have full entitlement to distribute our currency throughout the regions, throughout the continents. So it's not a legal discussion. It actually becomes a discussion of the vision, of the dream for Africans, not in the continent, but not in the diaspora rather, but on the continent. Insofar as the continent has said that it aspires for intra-African trade, the continent has said that it aspires to industrialize. The continent has said that the intention is to live in this 21st century and provide all of the modern amenities and provisions to its citizens as articulated in Agenda 2063. So with those dreams being articulated, I am a banker and an industrialist, and my focal point is taking those dreams and bringing them into reality. The same is true for Dr. Otunba, who sat out in the bush for the period of time meditating on how to transform not the Nigerian economy, but the African economy. So in this transformation, it is our expectation as diaspora, as sixth region, that the businesses and the political and economic leadership on the continent not only bring to us the rhetoric or discussion of trade, industrialization, and collaboration with the diaspora, but rather they bring the practice, the reality of trade, commerce, and industrialization. When China comes to the continent, they come with their Chinese renminbi. When Germany comes to the continent, it comes with its euro. When America comes to the continent, it comes with its dollars. And nobody is asking, how do we transact in euro or Chinese renminbi or dollar? They simply receive the currency and transact. And so now as the diaspora comes forth with the intention of becoming the continent's #1 trade partner, we expect that our regional currency, under all the legal and regulatory frameworks, will cordially and sincerely be used by the business community in the same way that they utilize US dollar or euro or Chinese renminbi. And so the paradigm shift is segueing from a discussion on economic transformation and getting into the business of economic transformation. And for that reason, on the one hand, yes, we've committed ourselves to the investment within the Ipada initiative, recognizing that the Ipada initiative speaks to who? It speaks to the diaspora. The definition of the word Ipada means return. So investing in the Ipada initiative actually means investing in ourselves. And so the diaspora invests in itself, in its own return to our ancestral lands. It is our expectation that as we begin to invest in African businesses, irrespective of their size as micro-cap or large-cap institutions, that our investments receive the same respect, the same integrity, the same dignity that investments from any other constituency of the international community would receive. Our diaspora community is coming from Canada, it's coming from America, it's coming from the Caribbean, it's coming from Brazil, it's coming from Europe, it's coming from India, it's coming from China, it's coming from all around the world. And so it is our expectation that as we invest as region, that our family on the continent gives us the same respect, the same dignity that on the one hand they would give to all their business partners, while on the other hand recognizing that we are no ordinary business partner. We are children of the soil returning home to make a transformative, not only investment in economy, but investment in society, investment in culture, investment in identity, so that in this 21st century, the African family can stand on the stage of the international community, of the global community, as a contender in trade, not simply providing raw materials, but actually producing finished goods through our own industrialization efforts, so that our goods as Africans are also circulating and trading on the international community. And so the question has consistently been, when will Lumi be convertible into any other currency, for example, like the US dollar or the euro, etc.? Let that not be the focal point. Let the focal point be on developing our economy with our currency. We are investing. The national central banks, who are not our counterparties would be regional authorities, but the national investment banks, central banks, then become the framework of guiding policy. Those policies are already in place. But if the business community is not making it known that they are now being invested in with Lumi, and that Lumi is circulating throughout the economy, then how can the national central banks give the correct guidances to the rest of its constituency? And so we have reached out to the national central banks across the continent, and we will continue to reach out and engage so that the awareness is established. But again, let me perhaps close on this point. One of the significant slogans, which isn't just a slogan, but a reality of the Ipada initiative, is a transition from business as usual to business unusual. As we begin to engage in this new era of prosperity, We are doing business unusual. It means that some of the protocols, some of the dynamics of communication and engagement have never been done before. What we're doing is transformatively and unambiguously new and unique. And so as economic leaders, we must begin to put on our leadership hats, our governance hats, and steer with intent. The Lumi is a tool of investment, but the users of Lumi, the people of Africa, are the ones that give life to it. And as we engage in business unusual, we engage in a paradigm shift where tourism sits at the focal point of the relation between the continent and the diaspora and our collective intellectual acumen, and where currency becomes the tool within the economy, and AKL in particular, Lumi, by which we understand ourselves as being in an economic business relationship on the one hand, while at the same time pursuing the topic of redemption for our ancestors and the collective African family. Blessings to you all. Moderator, this has been a very dynamic engagement for which I would like to personally thank you. I would like to also thank Dr. Otunba for his vision, for his leadership, for his audacity in being the chairman of the Ipada initiative. And I would also like to thank the president of the Republic of Nigeria and chairman for the Economic Community of West African States for his leadership and vision in his role in office as grand patron and global ambassador for the Ipada initiative. This is no mere discussion. This is paradigm shift. This is business unusual. And this is a new era for the global African family. Blessings to you all. Thank you.
For this very detailed feedback. You have just killed the question and then given us more. I think that the take home here is the fact that, and I think Doc also said the same thing, that if the Chinese is coming to Africa, they come with their currency. So we are on the continent of Africa, and our currency is the Lumi, is one of our regional currencies. So whatever ABCD and ECOSYS should do from their perspective in terms of the financial engineering and the frameworks to put together, that has been done already. And the onus lies on the central banks to be able to do this. Unfortunately, like I said, the regional groupings do not have their central banks, and we have to go through this process painstakingly. But one of the things that he also highlighted that is very, very instructive is the fact that, you see, businesses should be able to get their investment through Lumi. And they should be able to reach out to the central banks and tell them that, hey, we are bringing funds into the economy. You're going to benefit from taxes. You're going to benefit from employment creation. And that is what I think the Ipada project represent. Whilst it's enriched our cultural heritage, it also opens business avenue for the African community. Because if we are looking at 1.5 million steel that are going to be generated from the production of, 6 cruise ships, you can just imagine what is going on, the explosion that's going to happen in the economy of Africa. And I believe that other countries are also going to benefit from same. Before I go to, Your Royal Majesty, you've given your concluding remark. I wanted you to touch a little bit, just briefly about this AI Africa project, which ECOSYS initiated in partnership with the Vanuatu Trade Commission. What was the main intent, given the fact that we are in the 4th Industrial Revolution And I know you speak passionately about this. If you want to share something briefly on that, I'll be grateful.
The time has lapsed, and I'm always respectful of time. But what I would insist is that we understand that AI has a transformative role to play in the future. It has already transformed the way the international or global community thinks over these last 30 and 40 years, and we can only expect that to be accentuated going forward. And so the African Diaspora Central Bank has made its commitment in sponsoring AI programs through Ghana and across the continent, recognizing that as the mind, as it were, of artificial intelligence is being programmed, the voice of Africa must be in that mind. The voice of Africa must partake in the program. And the only way for that to be manifested is if we as Africans ourselves participate in the evolution of AI systems. It couldn't possibly be or make sense to anyone that an AI system is able to process two pictures, one of a Black man and one of a person of another race. And simply by race alone, that AI would be able to make some statements about the economic capacities of the individual being portrayed in the picture. If AI is making that kind of conclusion in terms of a racist judgment, that is based upon programming. And so we must participate in the knowledge that is being put within AI frameworks so that it works to our economic advantage and transformation in this 21st era. We understand that AI touches upon literally every segment of the economy. And with people now looking at how to, whether it engages writing or projections for future actions within their business, with people looking to AI solutions, it's not only a tool, it is a thought process. And we must be invested in that thought process. Thank you.
Your Royal Majesty, we are grateful. I've seen quite a number of questions here. And before I go to Professor Hugh Keku Aryee, I've seen quite a number of questions from very revered members here. And from Ambassador Amandi, he says that highly esteemed gentlemen, could you tell us if there are provisions to use our AKL Lumi at the Ipada Carnival? And there's another question from Obi that says that what are we expecting our African financial institution to start accepting Lumi? I think that question has been answered. And Your Royal Majesty have said clearly, and let me also wade into this. It's very important for all of us to know that each and every African on the soil of Africa has a role to play in this revolution. We all have a way to play. So for instance, businesses that have opted to accept AKL loan, they are actually talking to their suppliers. Indeed, I had the opportunity to engage some real estate businesses, and they have also engaged their suppliers, amazingly, to get almost half of them to accept AKL loan. And that is what they are doing. And most of the people think that once they have currency, they have to exchange. It is not primarily for exchange. We do the exchange when we are trading. But the currency is a tool for communication. That is our tool. That is what gives us the identity. African kingdoms, Lumi. So we need to get this understanding and not shift the responsibility to the creators and the regulators of the currency who have already finished doing their work. And we also have a role to play. I have written books on AI. I am accepting Lumi. I'll be putting it out there. So some people have already bought a number of them in Lumi. All right. So that is what I'm doing. That's a role I have to play. I have to accept the currency. Okay. So the question is, how do other people, my suppliers, talk to them until central banks begin to realize that, hey, this currency is in circulation. Cryptocurrency is an example. Now, most of the central banks in Africa are now integrating cryptocurrencies. That is even not regulated by any regulator. They are now accepting it now. So let's get this very clear. So somebody is also asking, we greatly anticipate that this global concept will sweep through the entire African continent, most especially Nigeria. That is a great market. And then another one says, when will marketplace kick start on HoneyPay? Prof is going to talk about that. How do we obtain the recordings? You're going to get it. Now, I just want to give just 3 people the opportunity, to ask a question. So we draw the curtains down, then I'll ask Prof to have his concluding remarks. Do we have any questions from any of the participants? And quite interestingly, we have about 127 or so online. And this is the first time I'm having a program that I see the participants are still online, because what we are talking about is very, very, important. How do we get access to cheap and affordable credit facility to business and growth? The stimulus fund is there. Let me allow the Vanuatu Trade Commissioner to give his closing remarks. And then if anyone has questions, you can ask. But to let you know that this African Heritage Show is going to be a tool, a platform that's going to be used to drive the African agenda. And when we say that, is how we deepen our African culture, how we promote our African currencies, and how we also build synergy with the global community. Prof, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. No.
Do for as your concluding statement, and also you need to tell us something about HoneyPay, because all these things we're talking about, it needs a platform to be doing the exchange. This is a digital currency. So let us know. Someone is asking about marketplace, HoneyPay marketplace, and all that. So if you could throw some thoughts on it, and the program that have been outlined this year and next year with respect to the enhancement you're going to give to the platform. And then you give your concluding remarks as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. Let me first of all thank His Royal Majesty for within a short period of time making himself available for this spiritual encounter with our audience across the continent of Africa. I'm excited also to hear from Dr. Otunba to share his vision about the Ipada initiative. And I want to appreciate all of them for making themselves available. I want to thank everyone that has participated in this event. Almost 2 hours. We decided to spend just about 1.5 hours, but we spent almost close to 2 hours. For having bent your data and being here shows a lot of commitment to this cause, and we want to appreciate all of you. Now, I think His Royal Majesty and Dr. Otunba has made justice to the concluding remark. I would just want to touch briefly on HoneyPay, what we are bringing onto the African space. Currently, we are speaking with several stakeholders, several fintechs, several tech organizations across the length and breadth of Africa. And soon we are going to be integrating a lot of them into a space where it will be very easy for somebody in Kenya to use in Pesa or to use Safaricom to do transaction Lumi. We are integrating Visa, we are integrating, we're working to integrate all of these protocols into HoneyPay. Now, the icing on the cake is about the honey market. The honey market is going to be an explosive tool for businesses in Africa. We want to create that African zone where millions, if not billions, of businesses will be able to establish their businesses on HoneyPay. They will be able to advertise their product and services on HoneyPay for free, and they will be able to check out in Lumi. The system is presently being designed by the Africans. This HoneyPay is being built by Africans for Africans. We know the terrain. We know the challenges that Africans face. We have not taken the project outside, and we're paying all of them in Lumi. They are working 24/7, and as time goes on, we'll be unveiling some of these unique features. So if you don't have a business idea or you don't have a business, I encourage you to register a business, and very soon, once we unveil Honey Market will want to become the forest of Africa. Africa has so many forests, and we want to be able to blossom and as well as champion African businesses to do business with Africans. So if you sell mobile phones, if you sell clothing, if you sell dresses, if you sell food stuff, you provide services, lawyers, financial institutions, you will be able to advertise your product and services on Honey Market for free. But the most important is you must check out in Lumi. And you can also get people to pay in Lumi. You must also receive payments in Lumi. We are also coming out with some various innovations. At the moment, we have just unveiled about 45 to 50% on Honey Market. But trust me, those of us who are on Honey Market, you've seen what we have done within a couple of 6 months. That tells you that we have a lot more to offer you. Just keep the confidence and the trust reposed in us for being here until now, and to assure you that AKL Lumi has come to stay. We will continue to soldier on. The African is capable of managing its own affairs, and that is what we are doing. All the features you see on HoneyPay are being designed by the African, young, brilliant guys who have ideas, who are pulling the chestnut out of the blazing fire to make sure Africa becomes a place that we call our own. We develop our own solutions for ourselves, and we are happy to be spearheading this agenda. On this note, I want to thank everyone for being here, to make the videos available, and for those of you who are still waiting for your appointment in the entire African space, I'd like to tell you that just wait a moment. We have received an overwhelming number of applicants across Africa. We are now going to be taking our time to sieve them and then appropriate them very well and send you appointment letters, and you begin to work. And we're going to be paying you fantastically in Lumi. So spread the message. Tell somebody to tell somebody, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell a family to tell a family that AKL Lumi has come to stay. Invest in Lumi now before it is too late. On this note, I want to thank all of you once again for being here. God bless you. God bless Africa. Shalom.
All right. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I see the hand of Phil up. Phil, you want to say something?
Sure, Dr. Boison, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to, let me start by thanking so much His Royal Majesty. Let me also thank Dr. Otunba, and let me also take the same opportunity to thank Professor Hugh Aryee for being here to answer the questions, even those that we hadn't actually asked. It was quite exciting, impactful, and informative. Right now, my question really is, let me start by mentioning something before I ask the question. When these big creatures that we are talking about here, the 6 mega structures that we are going to have after the big support that we're getting from the African Diaspora Central Bank, it actually is going to involve a lot of flesh and input from almost everybody. right? We have already heard that there is going to be need for a supply of 1.5 million tons of steel, right? So the steel producers are right now already on their toes and getting themselves ready to meet the demand. Yet, it's not only the steel producers who will be part of the whole thing. Everyone else, either right from the beginning, in the middle, or at the end, is going to be involved. People, when the vessels are ready for business, we will need to use road and air transport to get to the shores and board the ships, right? Then the food industry is also going to get into big business supplying the food that is required on the ships, right? Then the clothing industry is the same thing. When we actually want to, go to board the luxury ships, those beautiful things, we actually need to go there putting on new clothes. The health industry will also come in. The hotel industry will also come in.
So, Phil, can we have the question? I like the
Right.
background. Because of time, can we have the question itself? Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'm just getting to the question now. We need to know the time frame. How long is it going to take to build the ships so that each and every player knows when to come in, knows when to get prepared? How long is it going to take to build the ships?
I can tell you as a matter of fact that there is a whole project implementation plan. As you rightly heard from, I think, Dr. Otunba, that committees have been put together. They've done some feasibility studies. I mean, what they are talking about is not just a dream, it's a reality. It's something that is being lived now. I've seen some of the documentation, but we would have the time to, as it were, engage Dr. Otunba one-on-one, have a whole 1.5 hours discussion with him, and to see throughout the entire supply chain, I mean, the actors in there and where to come in and all that. And I think that this information will be made available, I mean, to all of us. And I'll also have a section with His Royal Majesty as well to dive deep into these investment strategy, bringing some of fresh funds into the African economy. The last time we visited Togo with His Royal Majesty, he said something that was very instructive. In all my writings, I put it there. He says that we have just come to rebuild our father's home. We have come to fix it. So what is important now, Phil, is the fact that there is commitment to start the work. And
if I may interject,
will say this will be
Dr.
a 9-day wonder, but I can promise you it's going to be a 91 days action. That is what is going to happen. So I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time to join this, and for the distinguished personalities who took your time, the ambassadors, your Royal Majesties, heads of institutions, heads of banks, and all that played a significant role in making this show a very good one. We want to thank you for that. I want to thank my other colleagues, who is the special advisor to the Vanuatu Trade Commissioner, Daniel Glover, who reviewed most of the questions that were to be asked here. He's part of the team. And as well as the Vanuatu Trade Commission, I think was an initiative that came as a result of some deep thinking that went through. And also exclusively to thank Doc for honoring this invitation, and for what we have heard briefly, it's enough to write about 4 books about your achievement, and we're going to contact you about that. And then also, Your Royal Majesty, there is a lot to talk about there's a lot that Ecosys has to do. I mean, I have planned to do to fix our father's home. And the technical team are also here with me, the likes of Abrantier, Maxwell, and then Uncle Johnny and Edmond are here. If you come to our studio, there are a lot of lightings and everything everywhere. We had some challenges when we started, but we've been able to pull through. And also, more significantly, the Knowledge Web Center team for your support, Linda, Gladys, Justice, the head of IT. Thank you so much for setting up the Zoom for us. And then Zinabu, the head of marketing. And then more significantly, for our public relation officer, who is Hajia. Thank you so much for being part. So we are going to reconvene another time and have a special section with our panelists. Thank you so much and have a good evening from Ghana. I know it's good afternoon and good morning from somewhere else. Thank you so much.